Hello and welcome to Sonoma Raceway, day 2 of our first event of 2025. Here we are with our Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM cars ready to take their place on this track for their race 2 of the weekend. 30 minutes on the clock. And the cars are being released, as you can see, from the pit lane as we speak. Going to be an awesome race, I feel sure, as the cars are released right now and heading out onto this very undulating Sonoma Raceway. So the Pirelli drivers with the red strip across the top of the windscreen, the Pirelli AM drivers with the white strip across the top of the windscreen. So this is the first round of what is a supreme calendar for 2025. We're here in California at the Sonoma Raceway. From here we head, as you can see, in April to Daytona International Speedway. Then it is the Miami Autodrome. Indianapolis Motor Speedway follows with Watkins Glen International, then Laguna Seca. And round 7, the final round, is part of the Finale Mondiale event at Mugello towards the end of October. So that's the calendar in prospect for 2025. And what a brilliant calendar it is. Hope you can join us for each and every round of this Ferrari challenge. And this is the Sonoma Raceway. Then I said that it's quite undulating. 2.5 miles, 4.0 kilometers. It's 12 turns, 6 left, 6 right-handers, and turns 2 and 3, negative camber, off camber those turns. And yeah, it's a real test for our Ferrari challenge drivers, but they love driving here, to be honest with you. And that's how it looks then. Love those graphics. And the weather, well, I'm not inclined to believe this because it feels like it's warmer than 17 degrees air temperature, but that's what the meteorologists tell us. The track temperature 28 degrees, and there's a bit of wind around, but 23 kilometers per hour of said wind. So weather conditions set fair for the drivers for this Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM race to come. Let's ride on board because that gives us a brilliant idea of what it's like. Johnny Kaminsky, then Ferrari of Long Island driver, who we ride on board with, and you can see just, this is a reconnaissance lap for our drivers, but they're doing everything they can to get as much information for themselves across this lap. And why wouldn't you do that? And loving riding on board with Johnny Kaminsky here. He's done a great job in qualifying. He's going from P3 on the grid. And he's going to be a danger man from there, I would suggest, with Dylan Medler ahead of him and Massimo Perino, of course, putting it on pole position for our Pirelli drivers. So that's the way it looks. We'll bring you the grid in full in due course anyway. I just thought I would mention that. And putting it on pole position for our AM drivers, Brad Falver, doing a great job. So cars making their way back to the stadium section, I call it, of this wonderful raceway. Also wonderful is alongside me. It's Andrew, it's Andrew. I don't know why I said that really. It's Andrew Coley, who is introduced to the Ferrari Challenge this weekend. I know just how much you've enjoyed this weekend, Andrew.
I have. You know what? I mean, it's been brilliant on track. I have to say it's been fantastic off track as well. I've been made to feel very welcome in this lovely paddock. And what a great series. Huge entries and a variance in people's experience across the entry. And because that's in great racing, not just great racing, people learning how to do it. And then we've got, what you might regard as the pros up the front here, which is where everybody else is aiming to be. It's just great to see that variance through the paddock. Go and talk to some of the drivers about what they're learning, what they're enjoying. They've all got a big smile on their face, as have I. So, yeah, it's been great to be here.
And if you get the opportunity to come to a Ferrari Challenge event, we would urge you to do that because the paddock is such a friendly place. I mean, the drivers are happy to talk to you and explain all they can. And also into the Ferrari Challenge for this weekend, been delighted to work with Nina Jade Paul, who's down there in either pit lane or perhaps even on the grid.
Yes, Dave, I am standing on the grid. I must say the wind has picked up a little bit, so it's a little bit windier right now. It's a little bit cooler as well. I can feel it in the air. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm still very much trying to catch my breath from that Copa Shell race. What a fantastic showing from all of the drivers. Pure entertainment and great racing. I cannot wait to see what Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM have in store for us. Throwing it back to you guys.
Thank you so much. Yes, I question as well. In terms of drama, the race that was previous to this Trofeo Pirelli race was for our Copichelle and Copichelle AM drivers, and boy, that was something of a spectacle. Expect the same with our Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers, I am sure. It's another big grid of cars. I mean, the entry levels for the Ferrari Challenge is always very good, but this year in particular, it's such a strong one-make series. And drivers love being part of not only racing, but it's the whole experience as well. You know, you will see the Casa Ferrari, which is the hospitality area, if you like, and you know, there is so much going on across the course of a weekend. It is a true event. It's not just racing. There is so much more than that. All the current models are on display. The road cars from Ferrari. I know you were oogling over a Ferrari Purisangue earlier on. Wonderful looking car.
There are a lot of wonderful looking cars there, Dave. It would be hard to take my pick, I have to say. There's some pretty special machinery down there. I've got to be honest, I'd probably go for a 296 challenge and get out amongst the others on the track. I mean, beautiful though the road cars are, it's hard to take the racer out. There's Casa Ferrari.
I mean,
and the weather as well has been amazing. Like, everyone's been sat outside all day, particularly on the racing zone. There's barely a minute where there isn't a car on track.
Oh, absolutely, because the whole programme across the Ferrari Challenge weekend is, you know, there is so much going on, as you say. There's track activity all the time, and that means that guests and family members, as you can see here, can enjoy this lovely place. That's Melissa Kozira, I do believe, laughing there, and there, just proof of the pudding that once you're off the track, you can go and relax, can't you? And there we are. There's David Musial Jr., or 2.0 as he's known, going from P5 on the grid for Ferrari of Lake Forest. Dave Musial 2.0, very strong driver. There you can see, that's a great shot inside the car there. The wonderful 296 Challenge car, which is such a quick and such a well-engineered racing car. It is awesome, absolutely awesome. You could just see alongside as well the number 47 car of Luke French for Ferrari of Vancouver. There, the cars are all lined up, and it's a sight to behold. It really is. All these 296 Challenge cars from Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM. All the garages are occupied, and then the teams bring their awnings out right onto pit road.
The whole paddock's occupied, isn't it? I mean, literally all of the garages have cars in. There are many teams down there. That's just at the back of the pre-grid area, and yeah, and then haulers everywhere, packed with cars.
Okay, let's go back down to Nina J. then, who's got some important words for us.
Very important words. Actually, my favourite words of the weekend so far. So, without further ado, drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
And indeed, they do. You know, if it's you or me down there, they'll take no notice at all.
Well, there is the bloke on the left-hand side of the grid waving his hand in the circle in the air, isn't there? But I do like it. I do like it. I really do.
You've shattered my illusion.
And they do sound special, particularly on our camera, which is just on the entrance to turn one, which is right on the pit wall. It's that's a bit of kit there.
I've learned that.
It's great, isn't it? It is great.
It is great because it also gives you not only the sound, it gives you the speed
and the proximity too. That's the other thing. You know, proximity to the wall. It's very different when
look at
particularly the stadium section there is walled on both sides,
and those concrete barriers don't forgive.
No,
they do not bend.
They do not. Bilacek ran close to the tyres, didn't he, around the outside?
That was in the previous race. He was just, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so big grid of cars, mix of Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers. We will bring you the grid in full, of course.
Just worth noting, yesterday's winner, Manny Franco, is a non-starter, isn't he?
Yes.
He went off during qualifying earlier on today, and unfortunately the team couldn't get the car ready in time. Fair enough, it was high speed. He was fine, went in backwards into a tyre barrier, and so that way Manny won't be out, which is a shame as he was yesterday's winner. He'd had a brilliant fight with Dylan Medler. Johnny Kaminsky got P3, but it was Massimo Perino who, remember, got the penalty, having won the race, had a penalty for crossing his lane too early at the rolling start and was dropped down to P4. So he's desperate for a bit of redemption, and I think we're keen to see how that goes down, aren't we?
Yes, he won't make the same mistake again as we get prepared to go racing. So, as promised then, we will bring you the grid in full of our Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers, and Massimo Perina doing a great job putting it on pole position. Dylan Medler alongside. Don't discount him. He is the current champion. And then it's a great showing from Johnny Kaminsky and Roberto Perina, who also had a tough time of it yesterday, and he will want redemption as well. Dave Musial 2.0 and Luke French are on the third row of the grid. It's P5 and P6 for those two Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Then it's Gray Falva and Brian Cook. Brian Cook, last year's champion in Pirelli AM. So Tony Davis and Ethan McWilliams, they go from P9 and P10. Ethan McWilliams, son of Robert McWilliams, and another young whippersnapper, if you will. Then it's Martin Burrows and Jason McCarthy going from P11 and P12, and Jason said he's going to run good in this race. Manny Franco regrettably won't be taken to the grid, but Brad Falva will, and he's pole position for Pirelli AM drivers ahead of Ofer Levy and Eric Pan. And as we continue our quest through the grid, we get to row 9, where it's Sebastian Mascaro and Ray Acosta. And then from P17 and 18, we go to 19 and 20, which are occupied by Michael Mathis and Michael Porter. They are on the 10th row of the grid. Eric Marston and David Musial then are P21 and P22, with Jay Logan and John Horsch going from P23 and P24 of our Race 2 grid. Robert McWilliams and Dan Magnazuski are on the 13th row, P25 and P26, ahead of Harry Cheung and Gregory Hopkins. And those two drivers are ahead of Gerdas Venslovas, who is another driver starting from the back who may well do good things from there, because he'll have the bit between his teeth and he'll want to get up the road. So cars all lined up then behind the safety car. Then the safety car will peel off into the pit lane. And I have to say, the rolling lap has been very, very interesting, because the safety car has left it very late before peeling off into the pit lane. It's been a late move from the safety car. Then all the drivers have got to stay side by side through their effective grid boxes on the start-finish straight. Then the green flag, then we can go racing. This is what caught out Massimo Perina yesterday, Andrew.
It is. You won't want to get caught out again today. Cross that lane too early. We'll try and get the car lined up as he comes through this first corner. He's on the right-hand side of your screen, and he'll try and defend, won't he? And not lose any positions. We saw position changes in turn 2 yesterday.
Look at them all bunching up as they're all champing at the bit, ready to get going here. Dave Musial 2.0, Johnny Kaminsky, and right, let's go racing then. And Massimo Perina, he was ahead of Dylan Medler as we get the greens, and Roberto Perina already trying to put it around Johnny Kaminsky as the cars climb uphill here. You see Tony Davis on the Lakeside Pyro car just out on the outside there as they climb uphill for the first time of asking. Massimo Perina leading the race from Dylan Medler. There is Tony Davis, as I mentioned. Tony Davis elevated into the Pirelli category for this year, and he is chasing down that number 47 car of Luke French. Luke French, in turn, is chasing down Dave Musial 2.0.
Yeah, it looked like French just locked a wheel coming down into the tight right-hander after the end of the first sector. Was very, very close indeed. Just had to check up a little bit more. Might have been dust on the track, hard to tell from where we are, but yeah, pushing hard. Everybody on this. Tyres, remember, aren't fully up to temperature, and that's what happened. You get a little bit wider than you thought when things aren't quite as warm as you thought.
And that is Jason McCarthy really pushing. And I saw Jason at lunchtime, and he said, I'm going to go for it, Dave. I am really, really going to go for it. Jason McCarthy always does. So he is going to be certainly one to watch during the course of this race. I remind you, we've got Pirelli drivers and Pirelli AM drivers in this race. Brad Falva, pole position for our Pirelli AM drivers. Jason McCarthy now with work to do with Pirelli AM drivers ahead of him as we're about to complete the first lap and put that in the book. Who's going to be brave on the brakes going into this turn number 11? And just take a look at the inside, a little love tap there, which came from the number 13 car of Ofer Levy. No harm done as the first lap is done as Massimo Perina leads from Pirelli drivers, and it's Ofer Levy and Sebastian Mascaro and Brad Falva down to P3. Now, we saw Ofer Levy and Sebastian Mascaro making, it wasn't Sebastian Mascaro, it's Ethan McWilliams who he got tagged by, or Ethan McWilliams was tagged by Ofer Levy. So Ofer Levy, having done a good job then, has put it in P1, the Ferrari of Silicon Valley. And Andrew, I'm not sure I saw that.
Don't think I did either.
Right. Oh,
So,
thanks.
you're not alone.
Thought you were going to help me there.
No, there's a lot of cars out there, and you can't watch them all at the same time. So I'm normally trying to keep an eye on what's going on up front. And at the minute, as they are in grid order, aren't they? Kaminski managed to hold off the elder Perina, uncle, I think, isn't it, Roberto?
That's right.
Yeah. So I must admit, we were so keen to look at the top three during qualifying. I hadn't realised how close the two Perinas were on the grid.
No, me neither, to be
And they run the reverse livery. So if you look at Massimo Perina's livery, you'll see it's red and white, and the flip livery in the background there is the white and red, I would say, of Roberto Perina. Two great liveries. Here's the onboard running over the curve outside.
Johnny Kaminski, who we're on board with here, the Ferrari of Long Island driver. Just see how much speed they carry into that final turn and then get so close to the concrete barriers.
It's the commitment on the throttle too. It's I'm going on the throttle. Not let me feel if this slides or not. It's the confidence of having a bit more experience. So the throttle's going in now, and I'll deal with the trajectory and get it as close to the wall as I can with the hands and the feet, and we'll crack on. And I love it. I mean, you can hear the difference.
So, Massimo Perina then climbing uphill leads for Trofeo Pirelli. It's Ofer Levy then, Ferrari of Silicon Valley, that leads for the Pirelli AM drivers. Dylan Medler is staying closer to Massimo Perina. There's about 7/10 between the two of them. But we have seen through watching how Massimo Perina deals with things. He just gets his head down and he's out there like every lap is a quali lap, and he tries to build as big a margin as he possibly can. He will be working hard in the car to try and build that gap. Ofer Levy now, he's got Sebastian Mascaro not far behind him, and also Brad Falva.
That is Mascaro, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is.
No?
No, I don't think it is. It could be Brad. Let's see. No, but you might be right. I think it is Mascara.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
you
was
were right.
Behind Levy, I wasn't sure because it came into shot so quickly.
You were
Spun
right.
on the entrance to Carousel. What a shame. He was in P2 and applying pressure to the leader. Here it is again. Watch for Levy coming in over the crest. That's
you
why.
could hear the tyres protesting.
Yeah, gone. Dropped it on the way and keeps it out the wall. Wow.
And he's able to get it back out on track again, but that has paid to his podium position for the moment, hasn't it? That's for sure.
He's going to have to do some work to get back up from there, isn't he?
Yeah.
But go on, let's get amongst it.
Okay, well done for getting it back
Thanks
out on track.
yeah.
And well done for you picking up on that.
Amazing job by him.
So, it remains Ofer Levy then that leads, but there you can see the number 23 car now, which has got, extraordinary in the early stages of this race. That was Robert McWilliams that we were watching there. So Massimo Perina has built a seconds margin over Dylan Medler. Tony Davis is being chased down now by Gray Falva. So Gray Falva driving the number 97 car, who had so much success in Las Vegas, and Tony Davis having to defend. Tony Davis currently running P7, Gray Falva running P8. So Tony Davis then for Continental Autosports. The gap between the two of them is half a second. I suppose, having just seen what Sebastian Mascaro did, it's when you're on the limit, Andrew, that you know what, if you go 1/100th over the limit, it bites you.
There's 100% of grip available. We used to talk about this when we were teaching clients. 100% of grip. So if you're braking hard, you're maybe using 80% of your grip for braking. So you can't ask the car to turn at the same time more than 20%, if you see what I mean. It's a funny way to try and explain it, but the 100%, you go to 101 and the car starts sliding, so at that point you've got to immediately grab a hold of it, and if you don't, it'll very quickly go to 150%, you're off. With regard to sliding a car, you can only catch a slide as far as the lock of the steering wheel goes. So if the slide angle exceeds the angle of the steering, you're going round.
Nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely nothing you can do about it. You jump on the brake at that point, pray the wall's a long way away.
So Roberto Perina, Dave Musial 2.0 and Luke French are the three cars that we saw in shot there. And there is Roberto Perina then running in P4 at the moment. And he has for company Dave Musial 2.0 and then Luke French. Luke French in the all-black car that you can see right behind the multicoloured Dave Musial 2.0 car. I would say that Roberto Perina has got this in control at the moment. Dave Musial is not far behind, and this is, as I say, the fight that's going on for P4. It's a three-way fight for P4. They're not quite close enough yet to kind of do anything about that. Ofer Levy leading in terms of the AM drivers ahead of Brad Falva and Michael Mathis, who is P3 at the moment. So What do you do here in this situation? You as a driver should be able to answer this. You're Dave Musial 2.0. You're hunting, but you're being hunted at the same time. You're in that sandwich. You know, that's hard work, isn't it?
It is. I think you've got to decide whether or not you think the guy behind is serious about coming past, or whether they're just looking for you to make a hole in the traffic and pass the car in front, you know, and them to get their turn. You'll soon know, because if they keep poking the nose out into your mirrors, you know you're going to have to watch them. And if not, if they're sitting behind you, they're probably going to cooperate with you and let you apply the pressure to the car that's leading the three. So you just have a little go. And I think the other thing is, these guys, they race with each other through the course of a year. You start to get to know,
yes,
he'll have a crack at me, 100%, and then you drive defensive. But you lose time if you drive defensive. You want to go with them, you know, you want to go away. Brad Favre is up in P2 thanks to the spin earlier on that we saw.
Sebastian Mascara.
Yeah,
but
indeed.
What Levy has got is he's got a comfort cushion of Jason McCarthy between himself and Brad. So Brad has actually got to get by a Pirelli driver to be able to get on terms with Levy if he wants to challenge for the lead of the race. That's going to be a tall order.
Yeah, and there's not much. There's 1.2 seconds between the three of them, and then we've got Mathes, who is another 1.5 seconds off the back and has just done the fastest lap in the Pro-Am category, 1:33.5. Actually, might have been a couple of laps ago, but so going very quickly. So we'll look. No, it was the last lap. Yeah, so Mathes has just gone on his last lap, 1:33.5, and we're trying to close down the gap to Favre and McCarthy and Levy, who are all in the fight for those P12 through to 15. But of course, in Pirelli AM, that is the podium positions.
That is, of course, not discounting the fact that Jason McCarthy might find his way past Levy.
Absolutely.
And take it to Brian Cook. This is Michael Mathes that we're watching right now. The progress chart on your left-hand side proves how good Michael Mathes is. Look, up 4 places from the start of the race. Up 3, John Horsch and Robert McWilliams. And in terms of Trofeo Pirelli, Tony Davis up 2 places and Martin Burrows up 2 places as well.
Top 6 that are running in their grid positions. None of those guys have moved. We've got 2 groups of 3. You've got Elida Perina with Medler and Kaminsky. Those guys are separated by now. Let's have a look. 5.2 over the top 3. So actually Medler and Kaminsky are running in their own space as well. And then Perina is a further 4 seconds back. But him, Musial 2.0 and French are all within 9/10 of a second. So the battle for 4, 5, 6 is mega. It's really close. And there they go over the start-finish line.
And often we say this, don't we, that some of the most exciting racing in any given race is not for the lead, is it? It's what's going on elsewhere. And Michael Mathes is on a mission at the moment, trying to get on terms with Brad Favre. Brad Favre currently running in that P2 position in Trofeo Pirelli AM. And Michael Mathes chasing him down. Meantime, we can take a look at our overall race leader and leader in Pirelli, Massimo Perina for Ferrari of Seattle. I'm making double sure to look at the graphics on the left-hand side of the screen to make sure there's nothing up there, and there certainly isn't. So Massimo Perina. Here's Dylan Medler, of course, champion from last year. Dylan is a fantastic driver. Tells me that he's going to be racing in North America and also taken to the European circuits in the Ferrari Challenge as well. The Ferrari Challenge is revered one-make series, Andrew, with geographic locations here in North America, also the UK and Japan, Europe, Australasia and Middle East to come as well. It is a huge, huge series.
Australia's series started earlier this year. It was in
Indeed.
Bathurst. It started.
Indeed. So,
yeah, what a
well
place to go racing with a Ferrari, eh? Another classic circuit. It's all about that elevation change.
They wanted me to go, you know, but I've got to go by bus.
He didn't fancy it.
So Johnny Kaminsky we ride on board with now, giving us a fantastic shot climbing. Now, you've said more than once that our TV pictures don't necessarily give you the changes, elevation changes, but when you're on board, you really get the impression of it.
Yeah, and bear in mind the driver's sitting lower than our camera, which would give you an even better idea of how blind it is for them. And again, you know, just out of every crest and corner, this is the long right hand, which is flat out on stickers, brand new tyres. Look at this, can't see it. Over the crest, you brake in, carry it through into the corner. Everything through that roller coaster section, as we've kept calling it, is blind. Even this long corner, you can't look through it. Then suddenly now we can see it up the straight.
Yes.
So this is one of our long straights, and it's not that long because it doesn't take a Ferrari 296 Challenge very long to eat up any straight, to be honest.
No.
Double right-hander up at turn 7, into the apex, and then back on the throttle and through here. Just watch this and listen on board. Oh, spin, or off at the side.
Yeah, that's Ethan McWilliams, I think. It is Ethan McWilliams. He's gone around, he gets the car into safety, but that's knocked his P10 for a Burton, hasn't it?
Carousel again. We've had a few people off in carousel, haven't we? with the big crash in the Shell Am race, and then we had the spin. Let's see where he goes off. Is it over the crescent on the way in again, or is it halfway through the corner?
I think we're going to pick it up now. There you can see it. Now, we don't actually know. Now, a couple of other drivers had to take avoiding action as well.
He did the right thing by going backwards. The thing is, when you're desperately trying to get your car facing race direction, you must not cross the racing line. It's called wrong direction, and it's heavily penalised. Now, if you could see up the road, and it's the best way to do it, you spin the car around on the throttle, whatever it is you want to do. But because that corner is blind on entry, he did exactly the right thing, which is not to put it on the racing line. He reversed it off onto the grass to turn it around. So good awareness again.
The driver that got called out by that was Brian Cook. He is dropping down the order, and a big beneficiary of that was Jason McCarthy. Look.
McCarthy, though, was dropped out of the 3, look. Do you remember? McCarthy was between Levy and Favre. So he's dropped out of that. So McCarthy's lost 2 positions to the Pro-Am drivers who were, do you remember, they were stuck behind him, and there's now 1.6 seconds between those 3.
Wow, you're right. Well done for picking that up. I was looking at Brian Cook, who has... But anyway,
probably one of the 2 drivers who ran wide. See,
he did.
And that may be what McCarthy may have been the other driver that had to go wide to take avoiding action. Then that's allowed the 2 of them up the inside. Rear shot, obviously hard for us to see when we're focusing on the spinning car.
So there is Jason McCarthy, who's got even more work to do now, hasn't he? So F.A. Levy, Brad Falver and Michael Mathis, it's a 3-way fight for the lead of the race. And as you say, there's just 1.6 seconds between the top 3 in Pirelli AM. For the Pirelli drivers, Perina, Medler and Kaminsky. Now, here's Tony Davis continuing to be chased down by Gray Falver. Tony has not been able to get on terms with Luke French quite yet. Will he be able to do that? What have we got? We're at 16 minutes of the race remaining. Tony Davis then driving for Continental Autosports, carrying that P7 place at the moment. I'm just curious as to where Gray will be able to try and pitch a move on Tony Davis. He's probably been researching every single lap where Tony is vulnerable, but he doesn't look quite close enough. You can see Gray Falver is quicker, but I've said this more than once. It's all very well being quicker than the driver in front of you.
Got to find a way through.
Got to find a way by, and that ain't easy.
It's not easy around here, definitely, and it's not easy when these guys are all as good as they are. With you've got to be extraordinarily brave, or maybe make some bad decisions if you're going to have a go from a long way back. You've got to be really close. Got to apply that pressure. You've got to hope they make that mistake, and then you go. And we have some mistakes. You know, this is our top category, so these are our best drivers, and still you see some mistakes because of the pressure. Because of the pressure of racing. It's good to see. That's what we want to see. We want to see everybody trying as hard as they can, being pushed to their limits.
So cars coming uphill right now, and there to the right-hand side of the picture was Jason McCarthy. Eric Pan is right behind, and then it is Ray Acosta there, centre picture right now, driving the number 7 car for the collection, and Ray Acosta is right on Eric Pan now. This is for P4 in class.
Eric Pan was P2 yesterday, remember, in Pirelli AM, and would like to get through and get himself into the battle with Levy, Favre and Mathis in front. But at the minute, he's got to dispatch McCarthy, and if you remember, Favre and Mathis couldn't until there was the issue with the spun car on track, as we hear tyres protesting in the background.
Jason McCarthy is a very difficult driver to get by. And Ray Acosta now gets right onto the gearbox. So let's see what Eric Pan can do here. As you say, he would dearly love to be able to take the fight to Michael Mathis and Brad Falver and Off-Air Levy, but to do that, he's got to get by that Jason McCarthy car. Now, also joining this battle with Ray Acosta is Brian Cook, who is a Pirelli driver. You can see similar liveries, look, between Ray Acosta and Brian Cook. They are different categories. Ray Acosta is an AM driver and Brian Cook is a Pirelli driver. But there you can see the colour schemes. They're inverted.
Yeah,
but
the mirrored schemes again, isn't it? Yeah.
So Ray Acosta then, who has just dropped back a little bit from Eric Pan right now, and is that because Brian Cook has come calling? I rather think so. So Brian Cook then, who now looks to the inside of Ray Acosta. Is this on or not? No, it's not.
Still, Eric Pan is trying to find a way past McCarthy. No gap so far. Out front, Kaminsky in P3 is really running on his own. He's 5 seconds ahead of Perina in P4, but he's around 6.5 seconds behind Medler in P2. And Perina, the leader, Massimo Perina, has just gapped Medler by a few tenths on that last lap. It's gone up from in the 2 seconds to the 3.2.
Now, Massimo, he's not building the margin that he did yesterday.
But he's just done his fastest lap of the race, 1:31.5. Bearing in mind we're 18 minutes in. Tyre degradation, who? You know, that's it's impressive, isn't it? So that he went 0.7 of a second quicker than Medler. I have to scroll through the screen to get to the last lap compared to the best lap, and I thought, because it shows the best lap, and he's had the best lap all race, and suddenly thought that is a big gap, and he's just done that on the last lap. So that's very impressive on tyres which are nearly 20 minutes old.
We can see here Eric Marston being chased down by Dave Musial in the number 30 car. So Eric Marston then, who is currently running P7, Dave Musial is P8, then it is John Horsch, who's being chased by Robert McWilliams, who is currently P10. So the Ferrari Restlake driver Eric Marston, championship-winning driver in Cobra Shell last year, elevated, of course, to Pirelli AM this year. And Dave Musial, who his son 2.0 is running, of course, in the Pirelli category of the same race. So we've got just over 11.5 minutes of the race remaining. This is Trofeo Pirelli Race 2 with Massimo Perina, obviously on a mission in the sort of second half of the race in terms of lap time. Meantime, there you can see there is still plenty going on elsewhere wherever you look at the moment. So John Horsch coming under quite some pressure now from Robert McWilliams in the number 23 car. So this car is John Horsch running P9. There is Robert McWilliams. Now McWilliams was all over John just a moment ago, and a bit like the Musials. Robert McWilliams has got his son Ethan driving in the Ferrari Challenge as well. There's often family affairs here in the Ferrari Challenge. Big family connections. Whoa, off air Levy! That's Levy. Surely that's off air Levy. I've called that. There you can see the number 13 car that was leading off air Levy.
So yeah, just heard from our producers that Falva had passed Levy in the previous corner, which we didn't see. Obviously, we just came and saw the sideways moment. Here we go, have a look at this. So this is the run from turn 1 up to turn 2. So Levy comes in. Is there contact? No, I think he's got technical, mate. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe a mistake. Then where does he spin?
That's not somewhere you would make a mistake, is it?
But then he span. Yeah, that's because he was going so slowly. But then he almost had a half spin on the next corner.
So, well, that played into the hands of Brad Falva. He was able to take advantage of that, and so too Michael Mathis and Eric Pan. So off-air Levy, disaster for him then. It was a big save from him as well, actually.
Yeah, we came late, didn't we? Just saw the car sideways. It just seemed strange for him to be that far offline.
Yes.
Like he'd given up the place, and then whatever happened in the next corner. But he was the leader. He was looking. Who we're going to see it again? So let's see. Does this take us a bit further in, maybe? So look, he comes out wide.
He slows.
Yeah, he's not turning in. Look, so he's left a space. Now, does he then? What happens as he comes through here? He comes down. I reckon he's looking at the dash. So there's some.
So he's distracted.
Yes, because he's driven straight off the track. So
right.
You think about it, you've got a tech issue with the car. Is the thing you do, you start scrolling the dashboard to look for numbers in terms of whether you can find any fault codes or temperatures or whatever. And then he's just driven on the dirt. So great to see the longer replay. Thank you to the guys in the truck for that. But yeah, puts Falva into the lead. And Falva was the winner yesterday, remember? And it puts Eric Pan up into P3. He was P2 yesterday.
Well, there we go. So Brad Falva now, well, he had to take the opportunity, he had to seize the opportunity, and he did. And sometimes you have to take that luck, don't you? And Brad Falva, there is Michael Mathis then, who's running in P2. What can he do to find 2.5 seconds damn near to get on terms with our race leader, Brad Falva? I think that will be a tall order as well. But Brad Falva leading from Michael Mathis and Eric Pan, then it's Ray Acosta, Michael Porter and Eric Marston. So Massimo Perina, he continues to lead over Dylan Medler and Johnny Kaminsky. They are the top 3 for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers, and we're looking at the driver that's P2 in Pirelli AM at the moment, and that is Michael Mathis. So the drama continues in Ferrari Challenge, as I said right at the beginning of the program. Always expect the unexpected. And I think you've called that absolutely correctly, that Affair Levy was just distracted by looking at his dashboard.
He's got to be, isn't he? Yeah. You know, when you see a car just drive straight onto the dirt, we know he's a class front runner.
Yeah.
He's doing something else in the car. Would be my take on how that happens. just switched our timing to last lap to see if anybody's going super quickly, and also to try and figure out who's closing gaps down. And as I say that, Mathez goes 1:33.2. Fastest lap in his class for this one. He's chasing Falva down. So he's gone 0.7 of a second quicker, and the gap was 1.5 between them. So that's Mathez trying to chase down Falva. And that was a very fortuitous click of the timing screen to see that come up. So he is trying to chase him down. You said he would, and he's going for it.
Well, the Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver, Michael Mathes, then in this car that we can see centre picture right now, is on a mission to try and get on terms with Brad Falva in the 7.5 minutes remaining of this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race. Let's see what he can do. What he doesn't want to do is gamble with that P2 and just go that little bit too far in one of these sections where we've already seen you are absolutely, Andrew, on a knife edge.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon have a couple of push laps, see if you can eat into it. Not only is he going quickly, but are they catching up with traffic?
Martin Burrows.
Yes.
It's Martin Burrows that they're going to catch up. Now, Martin Burrows in a different category. He is a Pirelli driver. He's running P9.
He's no slouch either.
No, he jolly well isn't. And Martin Burrows, of course, gave us our on-board lap that we enjoyed right at the beginning of the programme. Michael Matthews with his indicator going, just for good measure. And as they head into the stadium section, it's palpable now. You can see that gap coming down.
It was 1.596 on the previous lap. Mathes is our biggest climber. He's gone 8 places up in this race, as well as setting the fastest lap with only 6 minutes to go. Who's that off?
That is Dan Magnuszewski. And to be fair, no harm done, he gets it going.
Gaps down again, but only by another 0.2, so he didn't take 0.7 that last lap. Here's the replay. Where is it? Is it on the exit?
Just ran wide on that double apex, didn't he?
Yeah, he's just on the dirt, isn't it? He's got himself slightly too wide.
And the surface, the change, when you get onto something that is a little bit dirtier, you know, that really impacts the car, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely massive. Look at the gaps at the front as well, not what you're looking at right now, but 2.6 seconds. Perina leads Medler by, and Kaminsky still in a little bit of no man's land, although Roberto Perina is closer to Kaminsky and has just done his best lap, 1:32.6. So Perina is maybe chasing Kaminsky for the last spot on the podium, but he's still some 3.5 seconds off the back of him.
And we've only got 5.5 minutes in terms of racing left, but there you can see Brad Falva and Michael Mathes, how the gap has evolved over the last 3 laps as we've been watching it and calling it as well. So Brad Falva almost onto Martin Burrows right now, the Ferrari of Quebec driver. And he, for Ferrari of San Francisco, double bubble potential this weekend. And somebody else has kicked some dirt up on the entry into turn 11 here. Here comes Brad Falva under braking. He's king of the late breakers, isn't he? He gets much closer.
He's got a bit of a wiggle on here. It's that thing where you get a hook into the car in front. He's probably had the hurry up from the pit crew. So behind you, Mathes is pushing. He's just gone quickest. He's had the hurry up. He's responded with a great lap himself. So he goes 1:33.8, and it's a 1:34.1 for Mathes. So Falva takes 0.3 back in that gap, and Mathes only has 4.5 minutes now to close it down. So I just think he's had the hurry up. He's chasing after Burrows. We got something to chase. You get sucked in.
Yeah.
And it's good timing for him to have a car in front, and good work from his pit crew to get on the radio and just probably say, fastest lap behind you. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not in the bag yet.
No. So Massimo Perina then has gapped Dylan Medler by 3.7.
He's just done the fastest lap of the race, 1:31.3 with 4 minutes to go.
At this point in the race?
Yeah, that's some incredible...
How?
That's what everyone else is going to be asking, isn't it? So Perina, at a couple of intervals in this race, has gone, yeah, you know what, I might have a decent lead, but I'll have a little push here and see what we can do. He did his fastest lap of the race with 26 minutes of wear on the tyres. That's very impressive. Now, obviously, the fuel load comes down a bit, but we're not talking litres and litres, kilos. Remember, fuel in motorsport is weighed. That's how the teams deal with it as a general rule. But it wouldn't be so much that I'd expect him to... The tyre's basically the bigger factor. I just wouldn't expect to see him do that late in the race. Very impressive indeed.
I mean, he is super smooth.
Yeah. So you're keeping your tyres in good condition then?
Yeah, but to do that at this stage of the race, I find extraordinary. There's Dylan Medler, who is, steadfast in that P3, and he's got a huge margin over Johnny Kaminsky, hasn't he? So the top 3 really have been in a race of their own, haven't they? You know, where they've been, untroubled really by anybody. I have to say, I think Dylan Medler kept it with Massimo Perina in the early stages of the race. Massimo wasn't able to gap in his normal style, if you will. But once he got his head down and he has built a margin, and there you can see he is getting past back-marking traffic with 2 3/4 minutes of the race remaining, running into turn number 11. Meantime, there you can see Eric Marston, who's P17 in the race overall, but is running P6. So Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers out there. Dave Musial chasing down Eric Marston, but he has got Chung for company as well, the fight that's going on for P8 in the race. Meantime, what's happening with Brad Falver and Michael Mathis? With 2 minutes remaining. Last time around, it was a 1.4 margin between P1 and P2 in Pirelli AM. In anyone's book, that's going to be a big ask.
I was just looking to see if Ophir Levy was still circulating, but I don't think he is from the looks of things. It's hard to tell. We're missing his intervals. No, we think he stopped. So he was leading, remember, Pirelli AM, and unfortunately something went awry.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So there is Michael Mathis. It's been a valiant effort in terms of trying to get with Brad Falver, but Brad, I think you're right. I think he responded to the provocation, if you will, from the pit wall, which said, come on, get the hurry up here.
He's not monitoring other people's lap times. They have a lap time of themselves on their own dash. You can monitor your own splits, and you can see whether you're up or down on your best. It's very clever stuff in race cars these days, but it's not monitoring anybody else's.
There's been a change in P6 for Pirelli AM as Dave Musial has got past Eric Marston, I believe. So just can see that from our timing screen. Here is Tony Davis. And Tony Davis has been with Gray Falver for almost the entirety of the race. So here we can see as the closing stages of this race. Well, actually, it is the final lap now as we watch the car of Eric Pan, who is in that P3 position with Jason McCarthy ahead of him, so he's got no chance to get on terms with Michael Mathis even on this last lap, but it would be futile even if he could, because I'd rather think that Brad Falver and Michael Mathis have got this sewn for P1 and P2. Means that Eric Pan will be P3. Into the stadium section. Here comes Brad then, just taking a look at the inside. He's showing his face to the inside of Martin Burrows there, but I think he's got enough of a margin, hasn't he?
It was 1.3 on the previous lap over Mathis behind him. As split is this time. I think Mathis is closer. He is. He's 0.8 back, but that's not because Falver is going slower. He's going slower because he's caught the car in front. So Falver is now effectively in traffic. He's up behind Burrows, and now look, Mathis is right with him. So this would be a last chance saloon for Mathis to try and make a pass on Falver. Look again, Falver closes the gap down on Burrows on the brakes, and Mathis is right there with him.
Mathis knows that he can sense an opportunity here. However, we cross back to Massimo Perina for Ferrari of Seattle, the Trofeo Pirelli driver who rounds the second from last turn here at the Sonoma Raceway. He will head towards the checkered flag with no red bars against the graphics. He takes the win. Massimo Perina victorious in Trofeo Pirelli. And then it is Dylan Medler who takes P2. And it will be a great showing from Johnny Kaminsky as well for Ferrari of Long Island, who should take P3. They're all gapped pretty significantly. We pick up on what is happening in Trofeo Pirelli AM, because Brad Falver and Michael Mathis, is Michael Mathis going to have a final go going into turn 11? I'm not sure he's close enough. Talk about king of the late breakers. He's going to have to not brake, I would think, because he's not going to be able to get close enough to Brad Falver, I don't think. And sure enough, he just tucks in behind, and Brad Falver then will take the final kink, full chat flat, and head towards the checkered flag, and he will take the honours in Pirelli AM. 2 out of 2 this weekend.
Mathis gets P2 in Pirelli AM. Eric Pan gets P3. Mathis did well at the end of the race there. Fastest lap as well, and I think highest climber. We saw 8 places. So great performance by the Canadian driver to get up into second place. And but a great response, as we said many times, from Falver. I reckon he must have had the call. Still some battles going on. out on the track.
Of course. Not over until every car has crossed the line, of course.
Logan and Hopkins.
So Gregory Hopkins then, as they head towards the checkered flag. That's it. Trofeo, Pirelli, race 2 done and dusted. Well, there was lots going on in there, and you had to keep our eyes across everything, whether it was Pirelli or Pirelli AM. And, well,
there's a very happy man, isn't
yeah.
there? He had his hand out of the window, signalling through turn 12 before he even got to the line. I just think that's a great mark of how disappointed he must have been yesterday. He gathered it up today, went back out there, did the job in qualifying, and then did the job in the race. You know, so you lay that ghost to rest with the disappointment of yesterday and get it done.
You've got to pick yourself up, and sometimes that's a big ask, Andrew.
Really hard, because you think, you know, is that my one chance to get the win? Clearly not. I mean, we know Perina's a class act, but
yes, he is a class act.
It does play on your mind. Think about how much time he spent overnight looking at where he could make gains in qualifying. He was absolutely deadly serious about getting this job done. Got the pole, gets the win.
Well, he'll be hauled out of the car right now and congratulated by his team. He's such a personable young man as well. You know, the whole of the Ferrari Challenge paddock is littered with fantastic characters. But you can't help, Andrew, you've been in this business for a long time as well. You recognise talent as he's congratulated by his father, Tino, there. You recognise talent, don't you? And you just know. And
he's very good.
He's such a grounded young man as well.
Yeah, he's very good, but he's applying himself too. I think that's the thing. You know, with the great results last year in the 488 Evo, then comes here, recovers from yesterday.
He's very humble.
Yeah.
Let's get a look at the results and the classification then confirmed for us right now by Race Control and in graphics. Massimo Perina taking the win from Dylan Medler and Johnny Kaminsky. Then it was Roberto Perina ahead of Luke French, David Musial 2.0, Tony Davis, Gray Falva and Martin Burrows. Best of the AM drivers, Brad Falva. He takes the win for the Pirelli AM drivers ahead of Michael Mathis and Eric Pan. Jason McCarthy splitting those. Then it was Brian Cook, Ray Acosta, Michael Porter, David Musial, Eric Marston and Harry Chung then occupying the next page of the results ahead of John Horsch, Robert McWilliams. Sebastian Mascaro had a scary moment earlier on. Ethan McWilliams, then Jay Logan, Gregory Hopkins, Dan Magnuszewski, Gerda Svenslovas, who was very quiet during that race, Ofer Levy, who wasn't quiet during that race, and then a couple of non-starters as well. So there is Falva out of the car being congratulated there. Isn't that wonderful? The camaraderie in this paddock has to be seen to be believed. It really is lovely. So, well done, Brad. Massimo Perina then, I was just saying, he'll be thrilled with this. He's worked hard and he has delivered as you would expect. And he, right now, is with Nina Jade Paul.
Massimo Perina, a pole and a win today, my friend, and you made it look easy. Credit to you for coming back even stronger after yesterday. What did you make of that race?
Just had to not make the same mistakes I made the day before, and did that and ran a nice clean race, and now we're first.
You were fast out there. You set the fastest lap of the race 26 minutes into the race. Was there any time management that came into play during that race, or were you just pushing hard to maintain the gap to Dylan?
It was just pushing as hard as I can. Dylan was really fast this whole race, and so there really was no tire saving or anything like that. I saw him getting closer in my mirror, and so I decided to flick it on and really put down a burner.
And you absolutely did. What will you take away from this weekend ahead of the next round in Daytona?
Don't move before the line. That's it.
Good takeaway. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, Nina Jade. And didn't quite know where he was going then. He's congratulated by Ferrari head of motorsports, Matt Dusenberry, down there to go and congratulate him as well. Here are the Drivers' Championship points then. Massimo Perina leads Dylan Medler by 3. Then it's Johnny Kaminsky, Luke French, Dave Musial 2.0, Roberto Perina, then Martin Burrows and Ethan McWilliams. They occupy the top 8 positions in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Drivers' Championship. As we take a look at Tony Davis, P9, Gray Falva, P10, then it's Jason McCarthy, Brian Cook, and Manny Franco. Brad Falva then successful this weekend, that's for sure. He's with Nina Jade Paul right now.
Brad Falva, really solid weekend. Another win, we meet again.
Yep.
The pendulum swung in your favour this afternoon. How was that race for you?
Yeah, look, it was good. It was an unlucky start. The way they have us just stuck behind the next class, we never know what's going to happen. And there was a guy not started up behind to the side of me. That whole row just went, boom, I'm in third or fourth. And then things happened. We just stayed calm and cool and got the first.
I mean, you put pressure on the leader all the way. You were intense every single lap.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge? Was it the start?
Just the start, and that's the way it is, the way they stack these up. So you never know what's going to happen. So got a little luck and just some patience.
Really solid weekend. Any celebrations planned for this evening?
Yeah, heck yeah, we're gonna celebrate big time. Me and my son Gray.
Rightfully so. Congratulations again, Brad.
Thanks. Cheers.
Well done, Brad Falva. Well done, Nina Jade, for getting hold of Brad so quickly. Yeah, did a great job. You've got to be there to pick out your opportunities and to be able to take those. And there is the car. You can see the data being unloaded right now, straight to that laptop, and it will be studied. That's for sure. Congratulations. There's Brad's son, Gray, to the right-hand side of the picture there. The Drivers' Championship for Pirelli AM, Brad Falva, Eric Pan, Michael Mathis, Ray Acosta, they are the top four. Then it's Sebastian Mascaro, David Musial, Eric Marston and Robert McWilliams occupying the top 8 places of the Pirelli AM Drivers' Championship. Then it's Ofer Levy and Michael Porter and Harry Chung ahead of Jay Logan, Gerda Svenslovas, John Horsch, Gregory Hopkins. They occupy the next places through 9 through 15. And a lot of drivers, of course, in Trofeo Pirelli AM and Trofeo Pirelli, with Dan Magnuszewski and Frank Szczesniak then occupying P16 and P17. They are your Pirelli AM Drivers' Championship points. So there we have it, done and dusted. For me, that's it for Ferrari Challenge North America. I hand over to my buddy Andrew Coley alongside me. I hope your memories of our time together will be kind. Thank you to everyone in the production team. Bye-bye for now.